Acquiring knowledge, an essential subject from Vinipedia in the human form of life. One must learn these two things: how to become detached from the material world and how to acquire full knowledge in spiritual life. All methods of acquiring knowledge can be divided into two groups. The inferior method is to acquire knowledge from academic and empirical research obtained through the imperfect senses. Faithless non-believers may be highly educated in the material sense of the term, but factually they are the greatest fools, because due to the influence of the external, material nature, all their so-called acquisition of knowledge is made null and void. One should not simply acquire knowledge without reaching the goal of life. The superior method is to acquire knowledge from the original source of all knowledge, Krishna, the Supreme Person. The Lord's instructions in the form of Bhagavad Gita are full of knowledge and renunciation. Krishna says that after many births of struggle, or attempts for acquiring knowledge, one comes to the summit point of understanding that he is the cause of all causes and all that is. Srila Prabhupada's books, lectures, conversations and letters offer a comprehensive presentation of this essential subject as seen in the Vinicote's Acquiring Knowledge category. An introduction from his books is given below in the following 16 quotes. Quotes from Srila Prabhupada's books: knowledge means knowing things as they are, and if by deliberation it is found that there are things which are at all unnecessary, naturally the person who has acquired knowledge leaves aside such unwanted things. When the conditioned soul finds by culture of knowledge that material necessities are unwanted things, he becomes detached from such unwanted things. This stage of knowledge is called Vairjaya, or detachment from unwanted things. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.2. 12. The knowledge that we gather by our education in the schools and colleges may help us temporarily in the study of some particular subject in the present span of life, but this acquisition of knowledge cannot satisfy our eternal need, for which we hanker life after life, day after day, hour after hour. Message of Godhead, Chapter 1. The Vedic system of acquiring knowledge is the deductive process. The Vedic knowledge is received perfectly by disciplic succession from authorities. Such knowledge is never dogmatic, as ill-conceived by less intelligent persons. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9. 18. There are different levels of acquired knowledge: direct knowledge, knowledge received from authorities, transcendental knowledge, knowledge beyond the senses, and finally spiritual knowledge. When one surpasses the stage of acquiring knowledge by the descending process, he is immediately situated on the transcendental platform. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.12. 19. The purified stage of acquiring knowledge becomes the basis of devotional service to the Lord. As long as one is engaged in researching the solution of the problems of life, his knowledge is called jnana, or purified knowledge, but on realizing the actual solution of life, one becomes situated in the devotional service of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.15. 27. Man may discover so many wonderful vehicles of journey, but even if he reaches the moon by his much advertised spacecraft, he cannot remain there. The sane man, therefore, without being puffed up, as if he were the god of the universe, abides by the instructions of the Vedic literature, the easiest way to acquire knowledge in transcendence. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9. 10. Avyeva never agrees with the speculative system of the JNS. Both the JNS and Karmas depend on direct sense perception for their imperfect knowledge. The Karmas never agree to accept anything not directly perceived, and the JNS put forth only hypotheses. However, the Vaivas, the unalloyed devotees of the Lord, do not follow the process of acquiring knowledge by direct sense perception or mental speculation. Kaitanya Karatam Ta, Madhya LL 7.66. It is assumed that even if a person acquires some spiritually uplifting knowledge, circumstantially he is prone to forget it. Not only children but also elderly persons should be very careful to protect their sense of kaya consciousness and avoid unfavorable circumstances so that they may not forget their prime duty. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.31. 27. If we want to acquire transcendental knowledge, our first duty will be to understand that the spirit soul is eternal truth. The external ingredients, the body and the mind which develop around the spirit soul, are all relative or partial truths. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead explains this fact elaborately. Message of Godhead, Chapter 1. Devotional service to the Lord is the ultimate issue, and therefore those who are directly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord not only acquire the necessary knowledge in spiritual science, but also attain detachment from material connection and are thus promoted to the kingdom of God by complete liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7. 3. One who works for the satisfaction of the Lord only, however difficult such work may be, is working under the principles of Buddhi Yoga and finds himself always in transcendental bliss. By such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically, by the grace of the Lord, and thus his liberation is complete in itself, without his making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 2.39. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. Bhagavad Gita 14.2. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yog, or mystic, when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones or gold, as the same. Bhagavad Gita 6.8. The Lord, as the supersoul of all living beings from Brahm to the insignificant endows all with the required knowledge potent in every living being. A living being is sufficiently potent to possess knowledge from the Lord in the proportion of 50/64, or 78% of the full knowledge acquirable. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4. 22. There are 5 groups of 5. One group is the sense objects, one is the 5 elements, one is the 5 sense organs for acquiring knowledge, another is the senses for working, and the 5th group is the 5 deities who control these divisions. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.20. 13. One should understand that the wealth and opportunity one gets in the material world should not be squandered in sense gratification. They are meant for the advancement of Kaya consciousness. This Kaya consciousness movement is therefore teaching people to control the mind and 5 knowledge-acquiring senses by a definite process. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.14. 2.